Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another Long Island Wargaming Battle Report. This is Nick here, and I will be bringing you a battle report, Warriors of Chaos versus Skaven, and I will be playing Ryan. He will be using my Warriors, and I will be using my Skaven. It is a 1750 game, and it is a pitched battle. Here's our terrain. We have the river right there, our cardboard river. Two buildings. Next to that building is a swamp. Further off there is a magic circle, and then there's a mysterious forest. Alright, so for my units and my deployment, I have from left to right. That unit right there is a unit of clan rats with a poison wind mortar. I have a lightning cannon, doom wheel, 5 globadiers with a poison wind mortar. These two units, the wheel and the poison wind mortar, are on this side, and the globadiers are on this side, so I could deal with the high armor monstrous cavalry, the skull crushers. I have giant rats. I have 50 slaves with a warp block engineer. I've got some more clan rats. The first unit of clan rats has my lord in it. It is a lord on Bonebreaker. He has a shield, and I decided to try out the fell blade, so we'll see how that goes. And then the unit with the Lord has a Warp Fire Thrower, and then the other unit has Poison Wind Mortar. So I actually brought 3 Poison Wind Mortars this game, because I was figuring there were going to be a lot of Chaos Warriors, so those things are pretty good, especially with the no armor save. So there are a lot of Chaos Warriors, it's just one unit, and that's a unit of 20. So let's just go through what Ryan has from left to right. He has the 3 Skull Crushers, 5 War Dogs, a Gorebeast Chariot, a Tzeentch Hero, not a caster, a Tzeentch Hero on a disc. I don't have the disc model, so we used that base there. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 24 Chaos Warriors of Nurgle. And there's a level 2 caster in there. And that level 2 caster, I believe, had the spell familiar, so he had an extra spell. And the spells he had were, if I remember, Fleshy Abundance, Plague Wind, and Curse of the Leper. And then just to back up with my Warp Block Engineer, I actually have a... he is level 1 caster with Warp Lightning, and I did give him the Condenser. And then to continue with the Chaos, that is not a Manticore, that is going to be a Chimera. That regular Chariot is going to be a Gorebeast Chariot, and then 5 more War Dogs. And then also back to my deployment in the Slaves, I have another engineer, and that engineer actually has a Doom Rocket. Can't leave home without the Doom Rocket. And then there's a chieftain there with a halberd just for some extra damage output, because with the halberd and the weapon skill and the high initiative, hopefully he can get some attacks in before the Chaos Warriors do. And that is it. Oh, and there is a second cannon all the way over there in the corner. Totally forgot about that. Top left. So I brought 2 cannons. Pretty cool. All right, on to turn 1. All right, so for Chaos turn 1, he moves everything up. Plague Wind is casted. I was hoping he misfired, but it did go forward, and the Vortex ends up killing 7 slaves. And that's it. Alright, so for Skaven turn 2, I move not that much. I kind of don't want to run up and fight anything, so I didn't have any charges. The giant rats all the way to the right there, just positioned to get the dogs away from anything. And then everything just kind of either backs up. Oh, the Vortex in my magic phase ends up staying, so I'll talk about that right now. I end up backing up anyway, so it doesn't affect me. The Globadier throwers just kind of move up where the dogs are. And then the Doom Wheel, bam, all the way forward. So the closest unit is those Skull Crushers. So what happens? The Poison Wind Waters, they all miss. They all miss the Chaos Warriors, all 3 of them, or whichever ones were able to shoot. So that was kind of frustrating. The cannons did some wounds, I forget on what, but nothing too effective. The Globadiers kill 2 dogs. And then the Doom Wheel does not roll a misfire. It rolls a 6. I actually end up killing 2 of them and then doing a wound to the 3rd, which is huge. But, I mean, until that thing's dead, the victory point is still on the field and it's not easy to kill. And that was really my turn 1. Alright, so for Warriors of Chaos turn 2, let's see what happened. There was a charge with the Skull Crusher and the Gorby's Chariot onto the Doom Wheel. And then there was some moving. We have our flying units, the Chimera moves up there, and then the Tzeentch warrior on disc is right there by the lightning cannon. This Tzeentch guy has a ridiculous save. He's got a 1-up armor, and then he also has 3+ ward save, and then he also has the ability that lets him reroll his rolls of a 1. So he's got a pretty good save, so we'll see if I'm able to kill him. What else for moving? That was it. The Vortex at the end of the magic phase moves all the way there and kills the Poison Wind Mortar. And then during his magic phase, he actually gets off Fleshy Abundance onto the Chaos Warriors. I don't have a very strong magic caster right now, so I wasn't able to dispel it. And I wasn't entirely worried because the warp fire thrower would be flaming attack, so it wouldn't really have to worry about the regen save. And then with shooting, the Chimera does its breath attack and kills a bunch of guys, as you can see. And then on to combat, the Doom Wheel does its grind attack, but doesn't really do any damage. It ends up losing combat somehow by 1 and runs, but it doesn't get caught, so hopefully this Doom Wheel can continue shooting stuff, or kill a monster, or something. And I think that is it for Wars of Chaos turn 2. Alright, Skaven turn 2. I have some interesting move going on. I do charge that Skull Crusher in the flank. I figured maybe somehow I could kill it or break it, and I knew that was going to be a very big maybe. So I do flank charge that, and then there are no other charges. We'll just go from left to right. The Poison Wind Mortar just keeps line of sight with those warriors. And then I bring the Globadiers back to maybe kill that hero. I mean, big chance. But I turned them around. They were able to march, which is great. Doom Wheel does rally, which is awesome. That Poison Wind Mortar in the forest moves up so we can kill some Chaos Warriors. Those dogs move up this way. If he charges for some reason and overruns too high, maybe I can get a flank charge with my slaves. My Lord moves into the slave unit. So I just have some shuffling around with the heroes, and I think that's it. I backed the war dogs up. I didn't want to charge them. I feel like not the war dogs, my giant rats. I feel like they're just taking up space, which is actually good because the Gorby's Chariot can't get through so quickly. And let's go on to magic. Warp Lightning is dispelled, not a big deal. And then I did have enough dice to dispel Plague Wind, so that is gone. And then on to shooting. One of my cannons misfires. One cannon actually lands and does strength 10 hits on the Chaos Warriors with that little small template. And I actually do enough to cause a panic test with their Chaos Warriors with leadership 8. But they fail, so they actually turn and run, which is awesome. So those Chaos Warriors are just going to run away. I don't want to deal with them. And then the Globadiers actually score 5 hits, score 5 wounds, and then he saves all of his ward saves but 1. He actually rolls a 1, and then he's allowed to re-roll it, and then rolls a 1 again, so that Tzeentch hero on a disc actually takes a wound, which I was super happy about. I was very surprised, because he lost armor save, which was pretty important. But the fact that if he rolls a 2, he takes a wound. If he rolls a 1, he takes a wound. If he rolls a 1 with his armor save, then at least he gets to re-roll it with hopefully getting a 3 up. But 1 out of 36 chance I actually did a wound and bypassed his ward save. So very cool. In combat, I do nothing against the Skull Crusher, and he does dish a couple wounds back at me, which is kind of scary. Alright, so for Warriors of Chaos turn 3, let's see. There were some charges. He charges the Warp Lightning Cannon, that hero. The Gorbeast Chariot issues a charge on that flank. The Gorbeast Chariot and the dogs charge those rats. Hooray. And then everything else just kind of moves around. The warriors do rally. Good luck for that musician. That was very helpful. The Chimera turns around just to face the Doom Wheel. And that's it. So on to Magic. He tries to get off Curse of the Leper, but I dispel it, which is pretty good. And then tries to get off Fleshy Abundance, and that actually gets casted, which is fine. Again, I have fire attacks, so hopefully that helps with that Warp Fire Thrower. And then on to combat. The Gorbeast Chariot gets 7 impact hits and kills a whole lot of clan rats. And since I'm steadfast, I rolled a 4 and actually stayed, which is pretty funny. So, and then this hero destroys the lightning cannon. Well, he doesn't destroy the cannon, he kills the crew, which is pretty easy to do. And that is it for Warriors of Chaos turn 3. Alright, so Skaven turn 3. Of course, there's always going to be one Skaven turn at least where everything falls to crap. Try to get off, well, let's go through my movement, of course. The Doomwheel turns around and charges the Chimera. And I decide to charge the Gorbeast Chariot, which I thought for some reason was in my best interest. And I actually made it, which is pretty good. And that was it for charges. And then on to Magic. I try to get off Warp Lightning, and he dispels it with 2 6s. He only had 2 dice, and he got 2 6s. So, no Warp Lightning. Plague Wind Mortar. One of the Plague Wind Mortars actually kills 5 Chaos Warriors, which is pretty awesome. And you could see how close my Warp Fire Thrower is to those Chaos Warriors. And it rolls a misfire, which sucks. It was so close. Any roll would have been good. A 2, a 4, a 6, an 8, even a 10. I would have gotten a bunch of Chaos Warriors. I wouldn't have cared about Fleshy Abundance. It was just absolutely terrible. I do fire the Doom Rocket, and it falls really short, which also sucks. And then the Doom Wheel ends up misfiring, which is pretty frustrating. Into combat. Also notice I moved my Globadiers to face that direction, so if he decides to charge me, he'll go off the table, so that's always nice. And, what else? That's it. So, on to combat. My clan rats to the side get destroyed pretty bad. And then nothing overruns because this isn't a charge turn. The Chimera whiffs and doesn't actually do any damage. But I end up staying or doing a wound to him, maybe. And then all the way over to the side here with the Gorebeast Chariot. I do take a bunch of wounds, but I am steadfast, and I'm actually able to inflict a wound back, which is pretty awesome. Alright, so for Warriors of Chaos turn 4, pretty quick turn. The hero on disc actually charges the Globadiers along with the dogs. The Globadiers actually get a bunch of hits and wounds, and Ryan actually rolls a 1 for his ward save, and then a second 1 out of 36 chance of failing his second ward save, so he suffers a wound and never even makes it to combat, which is pretty awesome. The dogs do make it in, and the warriors charge that rat dart, which is fine, it's just there to get in the way. For other charges, the Gorebeast Chariot charges the Doomwheel, and the Skullcrusher charges the Poison Wind Mortar right there. So there are a bunch of charges coming in this turn. The Gorebeast Chariot ends up doing 6 or 7 impact hits, I believe. Yeah, and just destroys the Doomwheel, so they never actually get to fight. And then in since they won, then they just reform to face a more optimal position. And with magic, kind of jumping back and forth here, I apologize. With magic, Curse of Fleshy Abundance got off. This was got off with a miscast, so he actually loses the spell, which is pretty awesome. And that's it for Warriors of Chaos turn 4. For Skaven turn 4, I don't do too much moving, and the problem with this is with the slaves, which what I did, if I didn't already mention this, I realized I made an illegal move here with my lord, and I realized that when I sat down to do the battle report, he doesn't belong in that slave unit. He cannot even go into that slave unit. That's a special rule with the Rat Ogre Bonebreaker. He cannot enter a slave unit. So that is a misplay on my behalf, but I do move my heroes around a little bit to get them in a good position. And the clan rats with spears to the right there are going to not run forward because there's just way too many warriors right now. And I can't really reform my slaves to face the Chimera because there's just not enough room to get rank and file, so I really can't move them. So I just kind of got my hero over there this way. If he does charge me, he'll fight the Lord, which again is a misplay, but they're kind of stuck there. And the for shooting, let's see, my Warp Lightning Cannon actually finishes off the Juggernaut, which is pretty awesome. And into combat, the Globadiers and War Dogs do nothing. But the Clan Rats is where it's at. They actually break the Gorebeast Chariot to the right side and chase it. They don't catch it, but the fact that they broke it was pretty awesome. Alright, so for Warriors of Chaos turn 5, there were some charges. There were dogs against the Lightning Cannon, which is annoying. They could hold the cannon up for a little bit. But that was actually the only charge. He's not charging with the Chimera just because he wants my lord to kill himself if he can with the duel with the Fell Blade. That could happen. Plus, he wants to wait for the warriors to get in, so there weren't any charges yet with them. But everything does kind of close in with the Chaos Warriors. And for magic, he gets off Curse of the Leper onto the Skaven slaves, and now they're down to Toughness 3, which really, really sucks. No, I'm sorry, Toughness 1. They go from 3 to 1, so they're down to Toughness 1, which makes them really easy to kill. And he also gets off the Plague Wind again, so now I've got another template kind of trapping me in, so I really can't move my guys because they're now stuck because that thing just barely hits the unit. And that's really it for Warriors of Chaos turn 5. So let's move on to Skaven turn 5. Last turn I was able to kill those dogs, so now I can move my Globadiers out of line of sight. And I dispel the Vortex, and then I do try to cast Warp Lightning, and I do get it off on that Gore-Beast Chariot that's across the field right there. But I only do 1 wound, which kind of sucks. And that's really that. The War Dogs end up fleeing, so my Lightning Cannon is back in commission. And what's going on with the Gore-Beast Chariot? I do issue another charge onto that thing, so we're going to fight there again. And the Poisoned Wind Mortar this turn was awesome. It actually scored 8 hits, and of those 8, 7 actually rolled a 5 or a 6. So I actually killed 7 Chaos Warriors with the Poisoned Wind Mortar. I was very happy about that. And the Gore-Beast Chariot and the Clan Rats end up staying. On to Warriors of Chaos turn 6. At this point, Ryan wasn't able to get his stuff close enough to fight, which I was fine with because my guys would have gotten destroyed pretty badly in combat. So he decides to go in with the Chimera. And at this point, all my stuff is reduced by, 3 for my toughness. So that fight's going to be pretty bad for me. And the Gore-Beast Chariot just kind of maneuvers over there because there's no point in running around with the Globadiers. And for magic, don't think he gets anything off. I was able to dispel it, or he just didn't get it off. In combat, since everything was such low toughness, he just went after the Lord. And he does 4 wounds and just destroys him. So my Lord, that shouldn't have even been in there in the first place, actually ends up getting killed. And his Thunderstomp destroys, I think he rolled 6 for Thunderstomp, just destroys a bunch of other slaves, but I am steadfast. So my guys end up stay and chill. And the Gore-Beast Chariot finally kills the Clan Rats and runs them down. Finally broke them. It took a very long time. My luck ran out, but oh well. And on to my last turn, the Skaven turn. No charges. I don't want to get into combat. I just want to save whatever victory points I can. I was hoping I could kill some more warriors to maybe make them break or die, but I couldn't. In combat, nothing really happens. The Manticore is very hard to kill. Backing up to shooting, my Warp Lightning Cannon actually does finish off that Gore-Beast Chariot that the Clan Rats couldn't kill. Globadiers do some wounds, 1 or 2 wounds to that Gore-Beast Chariot, but not enough to kill it off. And I believe that is game. My Warp Lightning that turn ended up killing my caster, so that was less victory points on the field. Alright, so anyone that's watched thus far will now have the opportunity to listen to me babble for a couple of minutes. It was a tough game. The big thing is I have a personal problem where mid-game or end-game I just fail at closing the game. That's just something I've been working on, where I feel like I had a good strong start. I killed off that hero. My weapons teams were doing alright. I killed so many warriors. It's just towards the end I had no backbone left. I mean, Clan Rats are nothing. I mean, they're great when you want to get a bunch of stuff on the field, but I had nothing to help finish off the game. And one of the problems was I wasn't able to move my slaves. Any way of moving them would have compromised them. I feel marching them forward at some times would have got me too close to the warriors, or I would have went through the magical vortex. It was just an all-around tough game. Now the Chimera was annoying. If I had gotten the Warp Fire Thrower closer to it might have made a difference. But I think the Warp Fire Thrower was in the right place to kill those warriors, and the one turn that it killed a bunch was good, but the one turn where it needed to get off, it misfired and blew up, which was pretty upsetting. But even though I killed like 300 points worth of warriors, I didn't kill the entire unit, so he got full credit for it. So I feel like something I need to work on is just closing the game and gathering victory points. I feel like up front I'm just very careless about where I'm collecting my victory points. I ended up killing more stuff than he did, and I actually got a lot of models off the field. So it was interesting to see how much damage you can do but still not gather victory points. So that's something that I need to work on personally. That's just one of my things. But other than that, I feel like it was a pretty fair game. There's just so many rules with Skaven that I tend to forget or misinterpret or read poorly after going back through not even the FAQ, just reading through some of the rules. The rat ogre bone breaker can only go in clan rats, storm vermin, and rat ogres. So I couldn't have moved him into the slaves, which is something I came right out and admitted this way. I didn't get the tisk from everyone, but didn't really play that much of a difference. It ended up giving him more victory points because he was able to kill him, since his toughness went from 5 to like 2 with Curse of the Leper. So really pain in the butt. But so tell me what you guys think. Ideas, strategies, comments, likes, of course, subscribe, and thanks for watching.